Hey, kia ora everyone, it's Chris here from the Bayleys Insights team, sitting with Suzie Wigglesworth from our projects team. So Suzie, today we are chatting new build townhouses. And mate, figure we just kick it off, like how are you seeing the market like in a nutshell at the moment?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So overall, we're actually seeing some really positive signs in the market at the moment,
Yep.
particularly for new builds. A few different things happening around the country, depending on whether you're in the North or the South Island.
Yep.
But what we've seen over the course of the last year is there's been a significant number of homes consented to be townhouses. So I think 42.5% of all new homes consented have been townhouses.
Yep.
And the result of that is in some areas, such as Auckland, there's actually now a bit of an oversupply.
Okay.
So that's having a bit of an effect on the market. Whereas in other areas, there's been an undersupply, for example, the Queenstown District Lakes area.
Yep.
So that's actually what's driving demand in those areas. In Auckland itself, I would say that at the moment, the oversupply in certain areas is definitely causing no price growth.
Yep.
And a bit of a challenge because buyers have got so much choice.
And is it, it sort of seems that that's the more affordable product where that's mainly occurring?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think over the course of the last few years, that's where most developers have put their efforts, is in delivering affordable townhouse solutions, both 2-level, 3-level, and in some cases 4-level townhouses under that higher density model.
Yep.
That said, I think that the market is maturing in the townhouse environment, and we're starting to see buyer demand move away from that and wanting a bigger, more spacious, higher value product. Still happy to be in a dense environment.
Yep.
Or attached to another property, but perhaps wanting a little bit more now.
Yeah, okay. And do you think that that's like the build up and supply on market has sort of coincided with buyers become more picky, like they've got more choices and now they're like, actually, rather than just having the generic townhouse, I want something a bit.
Yeah, I think it's been an adopted typology now for some time, and I think that buyers are wiser now in what that can offer. They're more wise around specifications, around the quality of those products and materials that can be used. They understand the difference between a cedar product and a non-cedar product and what that means in terms of long-term maintenance. Yeah. So buyers are definitely gaining in their knowledge of, the building industry and, what constitutes a good build versus a bad build. And as a result of that, their demands are increasing for sure.
Yeah, mate, that makes heaps of sense. And one of the areas that's been emerging, and I guess over the past couple of years, has been more of that high-end townhouse sort of stock. How's that market going?
So we've certainly seen a little bit of growth in that arena, particularly because not all of our empty nester downsizers or early retirees want to move into an apartment environment. So, a differentiated product to an apartment would be, a nicely designed, spacious townhouse, less maintenance because there's not so much grounds to maintain, but perhaps with a lift, so the concern around it not being single level is removed. So we're seeing good demand in that space. Those buyers, however, they want all the bells and whistles. They want a pantry with their kitchen. They want an area to put their laundry that's a proper spacious laundry.
So it's like a full-on house.
It's like it ends up essentially being a house, but they're happy to be in a more dense environment on a smaller piece of land.
Yep.
So they don't necessarily have the maintenance issues further down the track.
Yeah, gotcha. And if you were to look at maybe off the plan sales at the moment, and I guess maybe contrast that with stock that's ready to go, like completed, how are you seeing those two areas?
Yeah, so the majority of the stock that's built and new is essentially in that affordable arena for the townhouse product. And a large amount of it is really at the very bottom end of that. Mm-hmm. And I think the challenge with some of that stock is that it's often been delivered as a very efficient, small-scale product. So what I mean by that is the width of those homes is reduced to sort of 4 meters wide. In some cases, it may be that it has 3 bedrooms, but only 1 bathroom, as an example. So the functionality of a family home has kind of been reduced to be able to hit a certain price point. Yeah. And that's okay for first home buyers trying to get on the property ladder, but it isn't for everybody. And so I think what we're now starting to see is a bit of a pushback on that, with buyers wanting more space within those homes. They want more functionality. In addition to that, I think we've seen over the years, call it maybe 3 years ago, every townhouse that was delivered, a heat pump was an optional upgrade, whereas now a heat pump is delivered as really part of the standard. And in fact, buyers are less concerned with heating and actually more concerned with cooling of the home. And so as a result of that, we're seeing demand for multiple heat pumps to be installed in a home to allow for that cooling, particularly on the upstairs levels.
That's interesting. Is that almost I guess giving an advantage to some of the off-the-plan sales because they can maybe facilitate that a little bit easier than the completed stock?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, off-plan always provides for the ability to adapt the product to the market demand and to the market feedback. And, we're certainly encouraging developers to take that feedback on board with their new designs.
Yeah, gotcha. And what's your outlook over the next sort of 6 to 12 months? I guess we've had interest rates coming down. They're actually sitting a little bit lower than we probably thought they were going to go to maybe 12 months ago. Are you seeing like a material improvement in the market just yet, or is it sort of slow?
Yeah, so it's still relatively slow for off-plan. That said, we are definitely seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. We're experiencing quite good demand for input from developers, so that's everybody preparing themselves for the next cycle and making sure that their plans are robust and meet the market need. In addition to that, we've seen maybe over the course of the last month or so the investor market really starting to come back with some force, and that's a really good sign, I think, for what's to come. Transactional volumes seem to be more normalized now than they were previously, and so as those stock levels start to reduce, we've obviously been at historical highs for new listings, but as those start to reduce, I think off-plan will become more prevalent in the future.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense. And if I guess if you're maybe a landowner or a developer who's sitting on a site starting to do that early planning, what would be your suggestion to them or tips to them at the moment?
Yeah, probably just to research the community that the land is in to make sure that the product that's being developed is fit for purpose, fit for the target market. Obviously, engage a really good real estate agency.
Shout out to Suzi's team for that.
And just have to really think about what it is that the consumer wants at the end of the day, and not just in today's market, but obviously in the future. Certainly buyers' needs are changing, and I think the demographics of our societies is also changing. Aging population, obviously a large number of younger people who don't yet own a home. So I think consideration to those will really help set it up for the future. Yeah, no,
that's awesome. It's awesome. Well, look, thanks very much for your time, Suzie.
You're welcome.
If you've been watching the video, want to learn a little bit more, check out our latest new build townhouse report, which we'll link in the description. And other than that, we'll crack on with the day. So cheers, Suzie. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.
Cheers.